Well, this is our last video together and the last chapter in the book. And it's really a simple one, and it's called Sustain. And the question really is, where do we go from here? And I would say that it looks different for all of us. My hope from the very beginning was that we would find what we needed in this material and gather some strength and some courage and some challenge to live that out. And so the first thing that I do hope that all of us do is really pause and really look back and think, what did I get out of this? Where was I stirred? Where was I challenged? What does this mean for my particular context, my particular place in the story right now, in the system that I'm in or the systems that we're in? Where do I fit in with the current landscape politically and practically that's happening in our world and around us? There are so many questions that are worth pausing and considering. So that's our starting. What was stirred up in me that I need to consider right now? And to try and kind of name that in a really not finite way, but maybe like a simple way, because sometimes we get bogged down with all of the things and it can get kind of convoluted. And I think a piece that helps me sometimes is just going, okay, what was the overriding theme or something that I'm really holding on to? And I can say in the simplest way for me, as I've been processing this, it really is a reminder that I need to continue and strengthen and illuminate being bold. So a boldness is needed for this next season. And I have been. However, I feel really convicted inside that I need to be more bold in some of my actions, in some of the circles that I live and move in, and in the wider story of as a leader, that I want to do everything that I can to disrupt unhealthy power and do what I can to cultivate examples in living, tangible ways of healthy power. And that will not come without boldness. So that's for me, just kind of a renewed boldness. And so I'm wondering what it is for you. Where do you go from here? What has been stirred? And can you clarify that in just a few simple ways? And was there something from the material that you're like, this word, this phrase, this idea really struck me, and to hold on to that? The other thing in terms of where do we go from here is a reminder of where we started. And that was at Ash Wednesday and right-sizing ourselves in the story. And I think that that is something to really hold on to and to remember as a guide, because it is discouraging a lot of times. We see right now the rise of very, very strong, unhealthy power in a very tangible and expressive and way. And it's discouraging, especially when we've made progress in some areas for greater equity for people and more basic rights and things that weren't in place just even a few years ago. And to see that start to crumble with a forceful, hierarchical, oppressive, separating power is very discouraging. And so I think just remembering that this is lifetime work, and issues of power have been happening since the beginning of time. And this is Jesus's work and message 2,000 years ago. And his spirit has lived on, trying to stir his followers up in ways since then. And people will be doing this work long after we die. And so right-sizing in us, ourselves in the story, really helps me sustain, because it helps me consider what is mine to do. And so just coming back to this original question and centering in on what is mine to do, where was I stirred, what is mine to do, and the last thing is, how do we gain support to do that? And some of you have it, and celebrate it and tell them thank you for being kindreds and for the support that they give you. For those of you that feel more lonely, it is really important to find people that can help and can be available to encourage and to sharpen and to support and to listen and to remind and to help us anchor back in our why and our deepest values, and to gather the courage that we need to keep going. So lastly, the thing that I want to just say for leaders, there's a small section in this chapter that is just centered for leaders. And I think it is really important, really, for all of us to consider that. We all lead in different contexts, but if we lead in faith communities, one challenge that I really want for all of us is that as faith leaders, we really do have an extra responsibility to model and embody what we hope for. And it really does require a lot of intention to heal the wounds of unhealthy power as leaders, and to follow the leadership of people from the margins and who have been on the underside of power as our first and foremost leaders. The second thing is to be really bold and to be willing to take the hit for decisions that we make that equalize power and help strengthen voices that have not been heard, and to fight and to advocate for goodness for people that have not received it in our faith communities because we have been so separated, or in the wider community, and to be willing to stand in courage and in boldness for that. The last thing for leaders that I think is so crucial is to remember that as leaders, we have power, and our responsibility is to share it and to give it away as much as possible, always. And that is what is needed for new seasons of leadership. And it certainly is what's needed for the future of faith communities, is that those have been holding it for so long need to let go of it. So this is the way that we can also not only sustain ourselves, but sustain our future, is by being brave and being healthy and listening to how we're being convicted, find support for that, and move it into action. So my hope in my heart is that we will continue this work. We will know that we are in good company, and we will remember our why